When the mission is complete, it's time to go back to the carrier. In real life, you must backtrack along your original course and fly back. But in Fleet Defender, there is a way around having to fly the return trip. When you want to go back to the carrier, press the E key. When landing, you first approach the carrier from the aft end. The E key transports you here when you press it once. Pressing E repeatedly advances you along the landing approach in increments. If you press it a total of 7 times, the entire landing is handled automatically. This shows the approach pattern for a fair-weather day approach with the carrier oriented along a north-south axis. Click one of the plane icons to learn about a section of the landing approach. In the upwind leg, reduce altitude until you are at 800 feet. Press the minus key until your speed is reduced to about 350 knots, and press the H key to lower the arrestor hook. Since you are flying parallel to the carrier and approaching from behind, your heading is now 360 degrees, or due north. During this first leg, you will fly past the carrier with the carrier on your left. Once you are about a mile past the carrier, you need to turn into the crosswind leg. Bank the plane to the left at a bank angle of 45 to 60 degrees. When your HUD compass shows that your heading is 270 degrees, level off. Extend your speed brake briefly by pressing the B key. When your speed is just below 300 knots, press the B key again to close the speed brake. Gradually descend to 600 feet. Continue along this heading until you are about 1 mile past the carrier. You must now turn left for the downwind leg. From the crosswind leg, turn left, keeping your bank angle between 45 and 60 degrees. When your HUD compass shows a heading of 180 degrees, level off. You are now in the downwind leg. As soon as you level off, lower the landing gear by pressing the G key. The drag from the wheels decreases your speed, so you may need to press the plus key to keep up speed. Maintain a speed of at least 225 knots and descend to 500 feet. Maintain this heading until you are about 3/4 of a mile past the rear of the carrier. Once you are 3/4 of a mile past the carrier on the downwind leg, turn left at a bank angle of 45 to 60 degrees. You are entering the base leg of the landing approach. When the HUD compass shows a heading of 90 degrees, level off. The base leg is the last chance you'll have to make any corrections before your final approach. Continue to descend until you're at about 400 feet and bleed off speed until you're at about 160 knots. Be careful not to bleed off too much power or make any steep climbs, or you may stall the plane. Wait until the carrier is directly to the left and begin to turn left into the final approach. This is the final approach. From the base leg, turn left until the carrier is directly in front of you. There is very little time for more than small adjustments to your course at this point. End your left turn when the carrier is directly in front of you, and look at the large green screen in the center of the panel. This is the Vertical Display Indicator, or VDI. Much of the information displayed here is the same as the HUD, but during the landing approach, the VDI also displays 2 lines which define the optimum landing glide slope. When you are at 3/4 of a mile, you should be flying no faster than 145 knots and at an altitude of 360 feet. When you are on the proper glide slope, you will receive a signal from the carrier to call the ball.
Call the ball.
The ball is a light array designed to communicate visual instructions to incoming pilots. The ball is located on the left side of the carrier in relation to your approach. For more than a mile away, it cannot be seen. It can be seen as a small colored dot to the left of the runway from 3/4 miles or less. When you are asked to call the ball, the landing signal officer is asking if you can see the ball. When it is visible, hold down the Alt key and press B to call the ball. The lights on the ball give you information on your approach. If the ball is green, you are on the proper 3-degree glide slope. When the ball is red, you are too low and should pull up slightly. When the ball is yellow, you are too high and should nose down slightly. In addition to the ball, there is a series of lights on the left HUD brace which gives landing approach information. This is called the approach indexer. If the lamp is green, you are at the proper speed. If the lamp is red, you are flying too slow. If the lamp is yellow, you are flying too fast. Even at the relatively low speed of 145 knots, you have only seconds to check all of this information and adjust your glide slope and speed. Visually line up your approach with the vertical stripe painted on the stern of the carrier. This line corresponds with the center line of the carrier's runway. When making course adjustments this close to the carrier, never bank the plane. Instead, adjust your course with the rudder controls by pressing the comma and period keys. From this distance, just seconds from landing, you can see a series of 4 black lines running across the runway. These are the arrestor cables, one of which will be caught by your plane's hook. This brings you to a sudden but safe stop. If you are on the proper glide slope and approaching at the proper speed, you will catch the 3rd wire. If you catch wire 1 or 2, you are coming in too low. If you catch wire 4, you are coming in too high. If you miss all 4 wires, you need to immediately engage your afterburners and pull up. Then you must start your approach again. Ideally, when you land, you should touch down main wheels first. Your speed should be 135 knots, your wings should be level, and the hook should catch the number 3 wire. The Landing Signals Officer, or LSO, rates each landing on a scale of 1 to 4, with 4 being the best. Landings are judged much more harshly on the more difficult modes of play. This shows the approach pattern for a fair-weather day approach with the carrier oriented along a north-south axis. Click one of the plane icons to learn about a section of the landing approach.